Here I thought one of me was enough for you.
Well, Rose, today we're looking at Four Roses small batch bourbon.
Let's see how it tastes.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd.
I'm Rose and I'm the whiskey noob.
And like we said, today we're looking at the Four Roses small batch bourbon. So let's get into the glasses and I will tell you a little bit more about it.
So another bourbon? Is this my bourbon trail, bourbon journey?
This is part of your bourbon journey because we're still trying to find a good bourbon that you like. There's one or two more I think that I've got left for you to try that I think you might like, but people have been recommending Four Roses because it's generally a nice, soft, sweeter bourbon.
Okay.
And the small
like
batch,
me.
like you, you're quite sweet. And Four Roses have this kind of interesting thing where they do with their bourbon to try and keep things consistent, so it's always kind of reliable. So what Four Roses do to kind of keep their bourbon consistent across releases, across years, is they've got like 2 different mash bills and they've got 5 different kind of yeast strains.
How do you even have 2 different mash bills? I thought a mash bill was like a recipe.
It is, so they basically make 2 different types of recipes. So they have a whole letter system. I'm not going to get into the letter system of like where it was produced, what rickhouse it was in, if it's straight bourbon and what recipe they use, but one of them is like higher in corn, and then it's rye and malted barley, and the other one has less corn, malted barley, and less corn, and then malted barley and rye.
Okay.
So it just kind of changes things up a bit. One will be sweeter, one will be a little spicier. Then they've got 5 different types of yeast, which one of them, like some of them give like soft fruity notes, some of them give spicy notes, some of them give like really strong fruity notes, and the idea is that with all the kind of barrel rick houses where they've got the bourbon maturing, some years it'll be hotter, some years it'll be colder, some barrel warehouses are quite like hot and spicy in the sun, so that the oak takes a lot of influence. Some of them are in the shade, so the idea is that they can take these different recipes, mature them around and make a consistent profile.
Yeah.
So they will take these 10 different bourbon recipes essentially, bring them into the lab, taste them and go, okay, so for this year's batch, what we're going to do is we're going to mix 20 of these barrels, 200 of those, they'll mix it up to kind of keep the profile.
Like chemistry.
Kind of like chemistry. Now you can get bourbonstry. You can get, I think, like individual barrels, like single barrels, and they will say, in this barrel, it was in this warehouse, it had this mash bill and this yeast strain, so you can get very specific. And some of them will have like, oh, maybe it's a blend of this and this. But the small batch is just kind of a general consistent product. They don't say exactly what's in it. It is about 6 years old. Again, they don't put an age statement on it. It's a straight bourbon, so it's at least 4 years old. But I've seen online they'll say that it's at least 6 years old, maybe up to 8 years old.
Okay.
In the blend, but it's at least 6 years old.
It's super interesting that like the different locations where they make it like matter. But I guess it's because it's made in the States, right?
Yeah.
So the climate and everything is much more, there's a lot more variety in it than Ireland, because I've never really heard of that for Irish whiskey, but I guess that kind of makes more sense if you're mixing mash bills from like a cooler place versus a warmer place, versus Ireland's pretty much like it's the same temperate climate year round everywhere.
And Ireland doesn't have like the big swings to really hot summers and colder winters. There is a cool experiment being done by the Talnua distillery in Colorado and the Bourbon distillery here in Ireland, where they made the same whiskey with the same mash bill put in the same casks on the same day, but just in different locations, and they're going to see how that climate kind of interaction works, because it's the same recipe but just different climate. So, but yeah, what they do is they kind of use all their various different mash bill recipes and yeasts to create a consistent profile. It does come in at 45% as well.
Oh, for some reason in my head I thought it'd be higher.
Well, I think they've got higher versions, but like for this one it's a 45%.
Okay, I think that's a good percentage.
Good percentage, yeah. And I think that's all the kind of background nerdy information I have on the bourbon.
Yeah, because like we've been going through this little bourbon journey to get me to see if, like what bourbon I like, and so for me the info is interesting, but how it tastes and smells and the finish and everything, that's more of like my vibe and what I want to try.
Okay, well then let's go in for the nose.
Okay, just say it's very pretty looking.
Yeah, it is natural color because it's a bourbon, so they can't add color to it.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it smells like Irish whiskey.
It smells like Irish whiskey.
So that's a winner already for me.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of lighter, fruitier. It is like
I do like the nose.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I think other bourbons have been like a bit harsh, like, whoa.
Yeah, a lot of you get a lot of oak up front.
Yeah.
This one, maybe because of those yeasts they use, that kind of give the fruitier nose. And people have been saying this is like one of the sweeter bourbons.
Oh, I do like sweet things.
So it's kind of sweeter, kind of fruity, still getting that
sweet
oak.
like me.
Sweet like you.
I definitely get like, it's a bit of spice and everything nice.
Yeah, there's definitely like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a peppery
nutmeg.
spice. Maybe like cinnamon. You know, like the kind of like the, not like the baking, but like almost like warming cinnamon, almost like red hot candy.
Whoa, red hot.
Like that kind of like, it's sweet and cinnamon together, that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is still oak in there. There's a bit of citrus, a bit of like
But the oak's not like, boom, oak in your face.
No, it's other stuff as well. Some bourbons, massive oak hit up front, really spicy, and then you get other notes behind. Here, it's almost like the oak is behind.
Yes, that's the way I like it.
That's the way you like it. Like the Basil Hayden's.
Yeah.
Which I'll put a link to that up there. That's, I think, so far your favorite bourbon.
It is, but who knows? We might have a winner today.
We have a winner. Anything else there? Like I'm getting almost like a peanutty note as well.
Oh, like was it that brittle peanut butter brittle?
Peanut brittle.
Peanut butter.
Peanut brittle, yeah. Like it's not hugely strong. It's just a nice
hint.
It's a nice bourbon. Like this is, I know they've got some the other Four Roses, like there's got a lot of different bottles in their range.
Oh.
And some of them are like much more heavy, like I was saying with the single barrels you can get. Some of them will dive into one particular flavor profile.
Okay.
But this is just, it's a nice kind of intro. It's a crowd pleaser. It's not going to be overly strong in any massive direction.
Okay, so maybe this is a good intro to bourbon then.
Or at least into what Four Roses are doing. Because that way you can find out what the recipes are and you can kind of find out what ones you like from their production.
Interesting. I wonder if they do something where like Four Roses, like, is it like gold rose, the red rose, the yellow rose?
I don't think that. I think I remember
like the spot whiskeys.
Reading before that like the Four Roses is about like when the guy was proposing to his wife.
Yeah.
He gave her 4 roses or something. I can't remember the exact story. If you know the story, like the reason why it's called 4 Roses, let us know down below. But I don't think there's like a yellow rose, red rose, anything like that. I think it's just the name of.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with the nose. I think it's a nice little nose.
Yeah, I really like the nose so far. I'm very curious about the palate because if you're drinking a whiskey, like, it's gotta taste nice. You can't just smell it all day.
So let's go in for the palate.
Cheers.
Drying, a lot of tannins, spicy.
Yeah, tanniny.
Yeah, like it's almost like a, I don't know how to describe it. Like
but it's not an affront to my senses, which is how most of the bourbons have been. I'm like,
it's definitely like pulling the moisture like out of your cheeks.
Like my mouth is salivating.
But like it's not. Like, it's almost like a licoricey anise. Like
yeah, it's definitely like it gets spicier in there. Like if you were like, there's like a cinnamon challenge like a decade ago or something where you put a thing of cinnamon in your mouth, kind of like that, but like nicer and liquidy.
Nicer and liquidy, or I'm getting like a good bit of like the oak char.
Yeah, I got oak char in there. I think that adds a bit to the spiciness.
Yeah, but is there any of that fruitiness?
Yeah, there's definitely like a sweetness that's in there as well. It's not like, because sometimes you have ones where it's a bit of a journey where you get like, it starts sweet and then it moves on to something like this. I felt like I was almost getting multiple, like it was going back and forth, back and forth.
It reminds me almost like of like burnt brown sugar. Oh. You on top of a creme brulee, where it's still sweet but almost like charred.
I could see that.
Kind of like where you gone over.
A dichotomy of flavor.
A dichotomy of flavor.
There you go.
There we go. But yeah, I'm getting that kind of like almost burnt, charred sugar kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, I could get that.
Anything else like on the sip? Would you want to take another sip?
Another final sip and let's see. Like almost some of that fruity bit, like, I'm not sure if it's like a ripe cherry or like a tart cherry or like an in-between cherry, because it doesn't taste tart. There's almost like a full bodiness to it.
There's like a roundness to it, yeah. I'm also getting like, almost like black tea. So if you know like Irish kind of breakfast tea, like, or English tea, like not a green tea, like a black tea.
Yes.
But without any milk in it.
Oh.
So it's like almost that kind of bitter note, but like it's it's water, it's hot, it's but it's like that kind of dark, roasted, charred, spicy kind of earthy note. A little bit like almost like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. But I think don't go in for the finish.
Yes, let's see how it ends.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, on the finish, like you get your sweet. Go on.
I think
She thinks.
it's a finish on the longer side. Like it didn't boom go away. I felt it like the warmth going down, and like, but not just the warmth. There was actual like lingering flavor. So I thought it was actually quite nice.
Yeah, like there's no real hit. Like it's only at 45%. So there's no real hit from the alcohol. There's no real like burn.
Yeah.
Just a bit of warmth. Like the sweetness,
Yeah.
I think, does fade pretty quickly. Like the caramel, that sort of flavor does fade.
Yeah.
But then you get this kind of like the drying spice is still there.
Yeah,
That sort of stuff.
I think the spiciness, the charred bit in there is still there, but it like is, I don't know, watered down or like goes away in like a really nice, comforting way. It's almost like your winter, you got the cozy blankets and it's cozy times with candles. That's what the finish made me think of.
Before we give our final thoughts on the bourbon, I think we also have a hint that you might like it because you're talking about being a cozy blanket. If
love
you're
cozy
new
times.
here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. We put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays. We put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey on Fridays, and there'll be a cocktail recipe featuring 4 Roses this Friday. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit subscribe. But now, moment of truth. Do you like this bourbon?
Yes!
Yes. Do you like it more than the Basil Hayden's?
I think so.
More than the Basil Hayden's. Why?
It just seemed like there was more of an approachability to it. Like, the sweetness was in there without like dominating it. You still got some of that oakiness, the charredness, but it also wasn't dominating. Like the nose was so nice. The finish was so nice. In the middly bit, like you do get your taste of bourbon in there for sure, but the sweetness is still there, which makes it a lot more accepting, or you know, I wouldn't call it an introduction bourbon. I would say it's like really approachable.
Like it's definitely like a crowd pleaser bourbon. Like I said earlier, like it is like it's an approachable bourbon, but it's also like a bourbon drinker's bourbon. Like if you like bourbon, you're probably gonna like 4 Roses. There's nothing really bad about it. It is a good, solid, well-made bourbon, and because they have all those recipes, they will make it consistently. So there probably shouldn't be any like flavor drift or flavor kind of change over the years. You'll know that if you pick up a bottle of 4 Roses, you're gonna get a good bourbon. Yeah. So I think that's all there is to say about this bourbon. If you have an idea of what rose to try next, because people did recommend 4 Roses and she liked it, so if you have an idea what she should try next, let us know down below, and we'll see you next time. Sláinte.
Bye.